What's up, everyone? My name is Kevin Halden. I am your host of Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all of your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. Independent movies is where my heart lives, and it's where it lies. Back in 2007, the first movie of this franchise hit our screens. That movie was The Rise of the Foot Soldier. It was a movie based around a character called Carlton Leach. If you know, you know. In 1995 in Essex, over in the UK, there was big gangland kind of thing going on. The Range Rover murders were like a massive, massive story. Cut forward to 2015, and we would get our sequel. The sequel kind of took on after the killings. We were still with Carlton Leach, and we got to learn a little bit more about him. The second one's a little bit lackluster. It's not a great movie. However, something magical happened with that third movie. It came around and they decided to take one of the characters, or two or three of the characters that had made that first movie somewhat quite special. They went back and they told the story of Pat Tate, and this is where Craig Fairbrass, a wonderful British actor who's been doing gangbusters recently. People are loving his roles. If you haven't seen Villain, then you must check it out. If you haven't seen Muscle, you must check it out. As Pat Tate, it's kind of like he's not even acting sometimes. Like, he just embodies Pat Tate. So when they went back and they made that third movie more about Pat Tate, and it was sort of like his story, there was a little bit of magic in the air. We were making a fantastic British franchise here. They would subsequently make another movie, which was Rise of the Foot Soldier, Marbella, which also kind of involved Tony Tucker and his cohort, Craig, a little drug-dealing scumbag, a little bit more, which was cool. And then, of course, they thought this was going to be the final movie, Rise of the Foot Soldier 5, or Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins, as the final installment of this great British franchise. So what better way to do it than go right back to the start, tell the story of Tony Tucker and how this unholy alliance between himself and Pat Tate came to be. I was all in for this movie before I'd even clapped eyes on the poster or the trailer or anything like that. I'm always good with a Foot Soldier movie. Yes, that second one wasn't brilliant, but I'm always good with a Foot Soldier movie. So yeah, I was super excited when this came across my desk. We are going to talk about Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins, the Tony Tucker story. We're going to be getting into that in a second, but please do all of those amazing things that make me so happy. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that bell. The bell is a notification bell that will let you know whenever I drop one of my fantastic reviews or amazing interviews, of which I have more incoming. All those things help. They just help the algorithms. They help YouTube find us. They help people on YouTube find us, and they get us out there a little bit more. Also, head over to Nerdly, because we have a ton of amazing reviews. They are literally churning out about 30 reviews a week. That's mental. I've been throwing some of mine up there. I've got back into the way of writing reviews. I'm really enjoying it. But obviously there are some movies, much like this one, you just have to jump on the camera and you have to bring the goodness to the YouTubes. And that's why I am here tonight to talk about Rise of the Foot Soldier. I'll tell you what, let's just get into it.
Our feature presentation.
So I'm going to follow my normal usual routine, and I am going to talk a little bit about the story, then we will get into the cast and the characters, and then we will move on to what I liked, what I didn't like, and finish it off with our final thoughts. It works for me. It's simple. It's easy, much like myself. Simple and easy. Rise of the Foot Soldier Origins is exactly as it sounds. It's an origin story, but we have gone way back to the start, and we are dealing with Tony Tucker this time. We've had Carlton Leach's story. We've had Pat Tate's story. We are now getting Tony Tucker's story. Probably one of the most interesting characters of this franchise finally get his origin story told. And it's about time, because Terry Stone as Tony Tucker is unbelievable. He's just embodied this character. Much like I said before about Craig Fairbrass just being Pat Tate, Terry Stone is Tony Tucker. So it's the story of Tony Tucker coming back from the Falklands War, and he's not really got much going for himself, so he starts his own little security firm with some of his mates coming back from the war. Big shout out Michael Elkin. I saw you in there, Michael. You fantastic dude. He was the director of Break. And speaking of Break, Sam Gittins, the lead star of Break, and also another movie that I really recently watched that I quite enjoyed, To Be Someone. Sam Gittins is in there too. Amazing to see these two guys on screen, especially together. If you know the story of Break, it's just a cool little full circle story. I love it. I loved seeing them in this. They play Tony Tucker's mates. They start getting a little bit of fame and notoriety around the town and basically taking over the club for themselves. Yes, they are still employees. They still work the door, but they're kind of making a way for themselves. This was sort of what was going on in Rise of the Foot Soldier. So you can see where the story is kind of leading into and where this kind of era comes from. There is a rival nightclub across town called Raquel's, ran by the wonderful, amazing, awesome Keith Allen. Not doing a whole great deal in this movie, but it's okay. We love to see Keith Allen. His nightclub's not doing very well, and it's being overrun by hooligans and basic knob ends. So he brings in Vinnie frickin' Jones, because if you're going to do a last installment of a franchise, pull out the stops, get Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones comes in as Bernard O'Mahony, and he's a total badass. Proper got the minerals to really go against anybody coming at him. He's taken on all the hooligans, but he can see that the club is pretty much dying, and the way forward is to get Tony Tucker involved. They form a little bit of an unholy alliance, which leads to the forming of an even bigger unholy alliance with Pat Tate. This story is basically that. There's nothing really major going on here. We are telling how these guys came to be, how this gang was formed, how this firm was, who Tony Tucker was to start with, and who he's going to be when it all ends. So on that, we will just move into the cast and the characters. And oh boy, howdy, I've mentioned a few of them all already, but I think this movie is just full to the brim of fantastic talent. And I'm going to start somewhere I don't normally start with these movies. I'm going to start with director Nick Naverne and writer Andrew Loveday. What I will say about this franchise is, yes, the second movie was pretty stagnant. It didn't really do a great deal for anyone, really. It was good. It was fine. It was a decent sequel. But when they went back and they started telling the story of Pat Tate, telling the story of Tony Tucker and Craig, the scumbag, this franchise found itself. It really did find itself. It knew its niche. It knew what it wanted to be. It knew everything it was going to embody and encompass. And the best thing about it is these guys have pulled in a multitude of talent, a delectable medley, some might say, of talent. And he's pulled in some great stars. So Terry Stone coming back as Tony Tucker, I've said it already. He just embodies the role. And then you've got Roland Manookian, who is an actor that I really rate. I don't think gets enough credit for what he does. He's been a mainstay in British cinema for a good few years now. He's a cracking little actor. If somebody would just take a chance and give Roland Manookian just this breakout role, I feel like it could happen for the kid. But at the moment, and in the past few years, he's just been steadily working away. But make no mistakes, this movie is also his movie. Shout out to Katie Jarvis, who's playing Roland Manookian's girlfriend / wife. Katie Jarvis, if you know, you know, we love her. Craig Fairbrass, absolutely unbelievably, just phenomenally brilliant as Pat Tate. Once again, I feel like Craig Fairbrass could play this role in his sleep by now. He just knows. He knows what he's doing. He knows about camera presence. He knows how to A, look like a tough guy, hard nut, but also B, come with the real talk when he needs to. He's a gangster with a heart, and we love that. We love the craze for that. The Richardsons, we love them for that. And that's kind of what we love about the Pat Tate and the Essex Boys story. We love all of that stuff. So Craig Fairbrass coming in, loved it. Vinnie Jones, I thought him as Bernard was just great. It's Vinnie Jones. You get what you pay for. When you know Vinnie Jones is going to come in and smash any role he puts his hands to, it's Vinnie Jones. and he brings a really likable quality to these dick bags. He really does. It's Vinnie frickin' Jones. Big shout out to friend of the show. I've spoken to her a few times. I've been messing about talking to this lass for a while since hooking up with Tom Payton. She's been a little bit of a producer. She's played some roles in some of his movies. Rachel Warren, finally getting what you could consider a proper leading role. I really like Rachel Warren in this movie. And another shout out because playing alongside Rachel in those scenes is Kat Ronson. Kat Ronson, I've been watching this girl. The woman sent me a short movie a little while back that I genuinely really liked. And we were talking for a little bit. I think she's great in this movie. Doesn't get any lines, unfortunately. I wanted to see a bit more of her. But Kat, don't think I didn't see you in there. And I'm watching you. And then, of course, you've got Ian Beale's mum in there. You got Michelle Collins, who doesn't really do much. She's only in a couple of scenes, but it's great to see her there. We're happy to see her whenever we see her. So the cast and crew, as far as I can tell you, it's brilliant. I'm going to jump into what I did and didn't like. And the first thing is just the cast. This is a cast that gets the story, get the movie, get what they're doing here, and get the tone. I mean, this is like, you've got the 80s music, you've got the early 90s music, you've got just a nice little smorgasbord of just fantastic music. The soundtrack to this film alone, I would go out and buy this soundtrack if they made it. Like, if they make this soundtrack, which I'm sure they will, I will buy it. Does it have flaws? Of course it has flaws. There are a couple of scenes for me that drag a little bit, just a little touch, and it kind of feels like we are going back and dipping into certain things that I wasn't really all that interested in. But I get those problems because you do have to tie things in. This is like a prequel movie to a beloved franchise, or a franchise that has stories you need to connect to. But the great thing about the Pat Tate story and the Marbella story is that they can kind of exist on their own. Marbella especially is kind of like a bottle movie. It's its own little adventure with these characters. It just slots in nicely. We will get there, we're going to get you to the Range Rover murders, because obviously that's where this story goes. We will get there, do not worry, but we're going to give you a nice vibey feeling all the way. And that's what this film does. It is a vibe, and it's kind of what I remember back when Nick Love. Remember Nick Love? Like, where is Nick Love these days? Nick Love, if you're out there, please do give me a shout. But remember when he burst onto the scene and he made Football Factory, and then he made The Business, and then he made Outlaw, which don't talk to me about that movie. It was a really cheap version of The Warriors. I thought we were getting a British Warriors movie. It was kind of told to us that that's what we were getting. It ain't what we got. We got something completely different, but Outlaw's not for here. They're bringing back that vibe of that time when we look back to those 80s, 90s movies and how movies used to be made in Britain. And that's what I love about this Foot Soldier franchise. We deal with that and we embrace it, and that's just everything this movie does. And the best thing about it is you've got a man right up front center, Terry Stone, who just loves it. So I'm going to get him a final rating, and let's be honest, I think you already know I'm a big fan of this film. There's not a lot I didn't like. Like I say, there are some scenes that sort of drag, but I get that in the continuity or in the canon, things need to hook up a little bit and, connect. I get that. So you've got to pay a little bit of service, tying it into the Range Rover murders, the pills and who they rob from and everything like that. I get we have to get there. I really like Billy Murray turning up again as Mickey Steele. Like, he's genuinely one of those actors that I just really rate. I really do rate him, and I'm always happy to see him on screen. So when he turned up towards the end, I was happy with it. But all told, for me, this is a movie that lives and breathes with its cast, with its crew, with its script, with the vibe, the soundtrack, everything. And I genuinely think, for the most part, 98% of this movie is absolutely perfect. Camera angles, cinematography, they are playing with it. The action, the fighting, Pat Tate beating people up is as brutal as it always is. The torture scene in the middle that I didn't really see coming in this film. Rachel Warren, you're an asshole, by the way. You were the bait. You were the honey trap. I don't like that. But the torture scene with Vinnie Jones is just incredible in the middle of it. It's actually really tastefully done for a British gangster movie, when all we like to do in British gangster movies is clobber people with hammers and whatnot. It's super tasteful, but that is where British cinema is going right now. It's the lower independent, less mainstream movies. Is that a term? Less mainstream? But those movies are getting so much better. If you want proof, check out Villain. I've already spoken about it. Phil Barantini movie Villain. It is incredible. It looks amazing. They've done a fantastic job. And again, it's Craig Fairbrass just absolutely killing it. Killing it. So I have to kind of give the movie a rating, and I'm going to give it a 4.5. I can't give it a 5 because I don't really want to get into the whole thing of saying, oh my God, this movie's perfect. I can give you my opinion and drop a 4.5 on it, and you will know that I enjoyed it. I'm thoroughly entertained by this movie. But if I don't give it that perfect 5, you can't really get in my ass about it. So I'm going to stick a 4.5. It's as good as it gets. It's a super strong movie. The 5th movie in a British franchise. I'm going to go, but please do all those wonderful, fantastic things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell. The bell is a notification bell, and it will let you know whenever I drop a new episode, whether it be an interview or a review. It will just let you know. Please do check out this movie when it comes out. It is, I believe, hitting cinema screens, which is the first time in this franchise since the first movie. If you don't get a chance to see it in the cinema, please do get it on Blu-ray and DVD. It is being released by Signature Entertainment, our good friends. They let me see this movie a little bit early, sent me a cheeky little screener. I have to thank them for that, because as soon as they announced this movie was coming, the year we had last year, and then they turn around and say, oh, by the way, new Foot Soldier movie's coming out. I'm like, yo, send that shit my way. So they did. Thank you to those guys. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Top to bottom, this cast is wonderful. From the big guys at the top, your Vinnie Joneses, your Terry Stones, and your Craig Fairbrasses, all the way down to, I wouldn't even call them the bottom, but clearly the guys who came in for a little bit of work. Sam Gittins, Michael Elkin, Emily Haig was in there. Great to see Emily Haig. Love that girl. She's doing great work right now. Rachel Warren, Kat Ronson. I can't even remotely complain about this film. Roland Manukian, I just love seeing you in films. So it's great. I'm going to bounce. Thank you. Rise of the Foot Soldier.